All right, we got the pathetic state of AAA gaming. Good thing this video isn't about quadruple A gaming. Then it would really be Doomer.
All right. Today's video
Oh, okay.
how do I put this delicately? Commentary on the state of AAA video games. Now, to properly discuss that, we need to focus on Skull and Bones because I'm not sure if there's ever actually been a more flagrant example of just how far this industry has fallen. Let's get this out of the way right now.
Bro, I honestly like my buddy played like the little demo thing of like Skull and Bones after playing like a Black Flag playthrough. So I think that was his fourth time, and I've played through Black Flag like 3 times in my entire lifetime. Um like I've seen the reviews on this game, and I just don't even want to play this like at all. This is so far not in my peripheral at all.
Skull and Bones is an objectively bad product. You can certainly like an objectively bad game, it happens all the time, but in order
Hmm.
for this video to make any sort of sense, we have to tackle things from a shared perspective, which basically requires that we acknowledge the game as an abject conceptual failure. Disagree? Fine. Type it all out in the comments. You probably already started for that matter, but that's okay. It was basically essential for this to be stated at the onset so we can tackle the subject with a shared understanding. So, why do I feel the need to make this video? Games come out all the time. Some of them are good, others bad. Life goes on. What makes this one special? Why is it worth discussing? And what can we possibly learn from it in the broader context of AAA video games? Here's why.
Bunch of fantastic questions.
Skull and Bones is a $200 million project worked on.
Damn, I didn't know they sunk that much into it. That's crazy. 250 mil? Isn't this game supposed to be like an MMO? Like all of these people are like actual players. But I don't know if like there's world PvP in this game or not. So it's like you can't just like go around sailing and like shooting your shit at everybody, everything. I don't know. But yes, from what I know, this is like just the ship combat portion mostly of Black Flag.
By hundreds and hundreds of people, paid for by the government of Singapore through subsidies, that took over 10 years to make and is distinctly.
Bro, this shit took 10 years? Bro, if I want the pirate experience, I can just go play Black Flag. And it's way better than this.
Inferior to the game it was technically inspired by, which came out in 2013. That's a lot, I know, so let's go step by step. In 2017, news began to rapidly spread that Ubisoft Singapore, that's important for later,
Hmm.
would be making a standalone game based on the success of Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Sounds good, right? Of course it does.
Yes.
There's a massive hole in the market right now, even.
In a vacuum, taking the ship combat portion of Black Flag and kind of expanding on it because it was so good, it does sound like a good idea.
More so back then, because no one is actually making good pirate games, and even the ones
That didn't look too good. The ship clipping through the fire.
we do have are incredibly stylized or cartoonish. Ubisoft had a gem here with basically everything teed up for them perfectly.
Oh yeah.
Flash forward during 2020, 3 years after the original hype cycle.
Yeah, because like in general, in terms of like graphics for like the pirate theme games, now this is weird. Um, in terms of like other video game genres, graphics, you can kind of tell like who the target market is, depending on like based off the graphics. So if it's more of a if the graphics are more like stylized, and like not really realistic, you know, that they're probably aiming for a lower age like target market audience. And if the graphics try to push the envelope in terms of like realistic graphics, you know, they're probably aiming for like people on the older side of the audience. And like there are parts of Skull and Bones that do look good. Like the ship looks fine and whatnot, but like the land looks like, and like this lightning is like weird. The land looks like a little incomplete. Like it looks too basic. Like the water actually looks decent, but I don't know. It's just there's something off about it. Like it has that toy filter on like if you've ever seen like some of these like YouTube videos where it has like a drone shot like really high up of like a city or something, and then I don't know what it's called, but it looks like it makes everything look like a toy. That's kind of what this looks like. Even though this is kind of stylized, but like kind of not really. I mean, don't even know what to call this. Like slightly realistic, but not really. I would probably land on like the more stylized side. So it's not really like a graphics thing. The graphics are like for like Black Flag and Skull and Bones is like kind of comparable. Like Skull and Bones didn't go like too far into the stylized, side of things.
And 7 years after the game initially entered development as a multiplayer expansion for Black Flag, and Ubisoft let all of their trademarks expire for Skull and Bones, including merchandise, digital software, certain logos, etc.
Okay.
At that time, I wondered if the game would ever actually come out at all, because it looked more like the studio was shoving it under the rug to just announce cancellation at a later date,
Oh.
trying to get some distance maybe. But at that particular moment, I also didn't have all the facts. Not long after, in 2021, we got more information from a Kotaku article, courtesy of Ethan Gosh, where it
Hmm.
was revealed that the game would eventually come out because, quote, a deal with the Singapore government requires it. In addition to hiring a certain number of people at its Singapore studio in exchange for generous subsidies, they said Ubisoft Singapore must also launch original brand new IPs in the next few years. End
Oh,
quote. A lot of people already know that or learned it over the past couple of years, but
I didn't know that.
that's not insignificant. If a national government gives you money for a specific purpose and you spend that money over the course of basically a decade,
Bro, these guys are getting money from the government to make a video game? Bro, what? This is news to me. What the hell?
you kind of have to hold up your end of the deal, especially if you have an entire office in that country with hundreds of employees and very easy accessibility for the business to be held accountable should you find yourself in breach of said contract. Basically, Ubisoft made a deal they couldn't actually break without very severe consequences.
Oh.
1 year later, in 2022, Kotaku senior writer Ethan Gosh elaborated on social media saying, quote, was told there was supposed to be a closed test this month, but was canceled due to the state of the build.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming either way, though, due to existing government subsidy agreement. The Singapore government subsidizes Ubisoft Studio there for hiring and training new devs, similar to companies' arrangements in Canada. But it also requires the studio to launch an original new IP, and it's been running out of time.
Oh
End quote.
shit.
Also, very interesting to me that they have a similar arrangement in Canada, so Ubisoft is just raking in the government money for mediocre products. This further reiterates the fact that Skull and Bones was effectively
Why have I never heard anything like this for I don't know, any like American brands of like video games? Why am I just learning about this right now?
commissioned by the Singapore government in return for significant funding to Ubisoft, which is a publicly traded company. And also, come hell or high water, the
Okay.
game would eventually come out regardless of what condition it was actually in. As you can see, this is not a great showcase of the state of AAA gaming right now.
No.
Interestingly, in my review for Skull and Bones, I said it felt like a stitched together homunculus of unrelated concepts, succeeding in very little aside from its ability to elicit confusion. And if you read the employee feedback on Glassdoor for Ubisoft Singapore, you can see things like this. Quote, stubborn directors that don't listen to developer feedback, conflicting instructions and opinions from different studios affecting project direction and progress.
Uh-huh.
End quote. Or how about this one? 1 star. No direction. Management has no clue what they are doing.
That seems to be the trend in modern video games. Seldom do you ever get management that knows like what they're doing. I mean, there's been a lot of studios that have had like like the whole sexual harassment thing, like cases like put up against them. What else? Every video game, or at least AAA video game studio, has like crunch time. That's got to be annoying as a developer. And just a other bunch of bullshit.
That sentiment is echoed all over gaming media, but we need to remember here that even in 2021, according to Kotaku at least, Ubisoft was $120 million in the hole on this one. Flash forward 3 more years, and they were reportedly crossing the $200 million mark, reported by sources of Insider Gaming in that case, which meant that Ubisoft was locked in a government contract producing a brand new first-party video game that had been delayed 6 times publicly over the course of roughly 10 years.
Wait, it got denied 6 times publicly? Bro, that's so fucking weird. Cost in the region of 200 million to produce. A figure that is not expected to be made back. Sources said. What? How do you just give out $200 million and don't expect it back? That's crazy, man.
Still, if that was everything, we could probably chalk it up as an unfortunate case of they bit off more than they could chew or something like that, which does happen. Sadly, that's not all there is, because our...
I mean, I guess the money kind of went to like all the... I don't know where the fucking money went. I mean, it went to the developers. So I guess they got some experience, but did the players get like a good game? No, that doesn't seem like it.
Archived by VGC in the third quarter fiscal year 2024 earnings call, CEO of Ubisoft, Yves Guillemot, decided to answer a question about Skull and Bones, and his answer is just fucking incredible.
What?
Again, people probably already heard this, but I don't know. I have to read it directly here to preserve the atmosphere of what this answer genuinely sounds like. Quote, "You will see that Skull and Bones is a fully fledged game.
No, it doesn't seem like it.
It's a very big game, and we feel that people will really..."
A very big game. Well, there's plenty of games that try to do the whole very big thing, but it turns out to be a very big empty nothing is the general trend when a game starts to tout about its map size or its vastness. Yeah.
We see how vast and complete the game is. It's a really full, triple, quadruple A game that will deliver in the long run.
Yeah, that was a meme, and that still is. That's not going anywhere, dude. The quadruple.
End quote. Now, I don't know about you, but that does not sound like a genuine answer to me. In my opinion, that sounds like a con man saying, "This potion is definitely not snake oil. It's full of very real oil that will completely cure whatever ails you."
Isn't $200 million? Isn't that like, bro? That's just around the same budget of like a lot of big movies. Like, what the heck? I would have rather these guys have like made like a movie about pirates and shit than like try to make this thing.
3-star, no, 4-star oil, the best oil. Everyone will see how great this oil is once they buy it. Think about that. A game that is objectively worse, you can disagree on that, but you are wrong if you do. A game objectively worse than the title it was inspired by over 10 years ago, after facing 6 public delays and only coming out because Ubisoft accepted a bunch of subsidies from the Singapore government and had to launch it, no choice, is being called quadruple A quality. That is the state of AAA gaming. It's not even AAA. One of the worst products in years is supposed to be beyond AAA. It cost them $200 million to make, but you simply cannot see where any of that money got spent.
Yeah.
If you look at a game like Baldur's Gate 3, which got made with a smaller team.
Yeah, I probably would have called Baldur's Gate a quadruple A game before I called that homunculus a quad.
By the way, than Skull and Bones, on a budget significantly lower on top of that. You can see the vision and kind of feel the quality. Skull and Bones, I'm actually lost for words on how to describe just how empty the game actually is when you look at it through the...
Well, it's not empty. You had that fucking big throw up of like numbers that just spews everywhere on the screen every time you do damage.
Lens of 10 years, 200 million, and quadruple A quality.
Numbers.
Go back and look at some of the trailers.
Ubisoft algorithm. Numbers. Add more numbers that the players can see. There weren't any numbers in Black Flag, and that game was awesome and still is. I think I'm gonna go play Black Flag.
And the marketing material for this game from like 6 or 7 years ago. It's unrecognizable. Ubisoft spent thousands of days raking in the subsidies and consistently making the product worse over time when you compare it to the initial hype cycle they cultivated at E3 in 2017 and 2018, when the marketing cycles were at their absolute apex peak, in my opinion.
Oh, shit. Oh, is this Black Flag? I think this is Black Flag.
only to then release a product for $70 that could never deserve that
Is
price
it
point,
or is it not? I don't know.
while the CEO
I
calls
haven't
it
played it in a
Quad
while.
A. I don't think there could possibly be a better example of corporate failure, mismanagement,
Oh,
and bad practices. As if purpose
wait, no. Is this Skull and
built
Bones?
for me to make my case here, this comes directly on the
Oh,
heels of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League
oh,
immediately prior, which
yeah, that was a meme as well. Like, ain't nobody playing that shit, dude.
is a live service game from Rocksteady that looks objectively worse than a game that came out 9 years before it. The
Yeah.
funny thing is, I was being led to believe, I guess, visuals have improved dramatically over the past decade with better hardware, better game engines, etc., etc. But
Yeah, I mean, what do you call it? Um, yeah, Unreal was it like 5.3, 5.4, or whatever it is right now? It's like they're always anytime I see like a thing, like a video on the Unreal Engine like YouTube channel, they're always saying how much more easy it is for developers to create like awesome worlds. It's like, oh, look at this vista, and they just pull up the ground, or look at how easy it is to make a forest, and like there's a forest, or look how it is to how easy it is to make a ravine with some forks and some rock formations, and oh, there's a little pond. It's like you're motherfucking Bob Ross in this shit in Unreal. All right, it's crazy.
live service AAA products right now simply do not demonstrate that premise at all, even so far as to look downright bad compared to the games that came before them. I mean, not even just visual fidelity, but mechanically speaking, look at this and then tell me that a $200 million game with a decade long development cycle where literally none of this is possible, mechanically speaking,
Hmm.
is a quadruple A experience worth $70. Even accounting for inflation, that just doesn't track. Also, preemptively here, back in 2014, when Black Flag was being evaluated, sales were actually viewed as lackluster by investment companies. Surprise, surprise. But according to Motley Fool, the game cost roughly $100 million in terms of total development.
Oh, so Black Flag cost half as much and does many times over better.
That's half as much as Skull and Bones. This game costs 2 times as much, has less gameplay features by a mile, and took 10 years. It is described as quadruple A by the company's CEO, and this game
That is some delusional ass shit.
right here cost half the amount and took 3 years. It got started in 2011, then officially announced and released in 2013. Honestly, there's not much more to say here. We've all
Yeah, I think I'll go back and play the lesser game any day of the week.
felt it for a while, and there's no shortage of people saying it online. I'm just another voice in the horde of voices out there.
Hmm.
But AAA video games have gone very far downhill over the past few years, or more so, 10 years, ironically, considering the development timeline for Skull and Bones. These games aren't being made for the player base. They're being made, in the case of Skull and Bones at least, because a profit motivated company intent on pleasing shareholders had a contract with a government allowing them to get undeserved subsidies in order to pay workers and open a studio. So they made something objectively worse than what it's
Look at all those numbers, dude. You don't like all those numbers? What the hell?
inspired by from 10 years ago. And then they gaslit everyone by saying it
Bam.
wasn't just AAA, it was better than AAA. Normally, this would feel like shouting the obvious thing from the rooftop for no reason, but this time it kind of feels like a tipping point. Yeah, some of the fanboys will still delude themselves into thinking this is all fine, but I can't help but feel like this has gotten so obvious lately and so egregious that the profit levers will actually start to move. Example that everyone should be happy about, I think, at least in my opinion.
Yeah.
There are now more people playing Arkham Knight, a game from 9 years ago made by Rocksteady, same developers of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, by a pretty hefty margin.
Oh my god, that's so funny. Yeah, like the new game comes out of whatever the new installment is for what is it? Whatever the brand is, like for the Rocksteady things, like Suicide Squad came out. Oh, it's the newest one. It's got to be the best one. And then everyone quickly realizes how bad it is, and then just to really drive it home and to figure out was Suicide Squad that bad? Let me go back and play those older Batman games. and they go back and they play them all through. And then, yep, Suicide Squad is that bad. This is so funny. I wouldn't honestly. I would have thought they would have done the same. Like players would have done the same thing for like when Skull and Bones came out. Like Skull and Bones came out, everyone's hungry for another pirate game. You know, and I don't think there have been like many good pirate games that have came out recently. It's like, oh, Skull and Bones, yeah. That game comes out, it does a big flop. What do people do? Shit, I'm gonna go play Black Flag again. Then they reminisce, and then they go back. They're just done with their little pirate fantasy, and then, yep, another stinker, modern day stinker comes out, and it honestly it feels like anytime a new game that comes out and is supposed to be like an improvement upon like an older game, it's just like a, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 year like anniversary type thing to be like, yeah, it's time to go back and play the older better game. That's what it feels like.
Than there are playing Suicide Squad on Steam. That's a live service AAA game from a couple weeks ago designed to capture players for an extended period of time. That's the entire business model. Being outperformed significantly by a 9-year-old single player experience from the same company because it's a better game. That's hard to ignore, and it's probably going to happen here.
Oh, is that red thing supposed to be like a critical point in like the ship? That's why I'm seeing like, well, this is 230 and that's 230. I guess. I was wondering what the fuck the red numbers were.
Again with Assassin's Creed Black Flag and Skull and Bones. Anyway, the point here is to showcase the ridiculous state of AAA gaming, which has been sliding downwards for what feels like the better part of 5 to 7, maybe even 10 years.
True.
I hope that changes. It kind of feels like it might change, but we'll see. If
Yeah.
you want to support the channel, please check out the links down below. Bunch of different things, but primarily locals and Patreon. Those are the main ones, as well as a VPN affiliate deal.
Oh, Skull and Bones even did the wave thing in Black Flag. They even stole the wave thing.
Dice, etc., but I'll cut it there and stop rambling. As always, thank you all for watching. Question everything, and have a nice night.
Dang. What the fuck is this outro? I just want to watch this. Oh my god. Okay, yeah. AAA gaming is not the is in the same place it used to be. I mean, I do hope AAA gaming like comes back, but I mean, I don't really see how they could though. Like for the most part, you have to depend on like single A, double A level companies and indie game companies to have the good games. You got to take more of a chance and give those indie games a shot. When a game comes out and it's just in a bad state on day one, that's the state that I would say most people remember the game is in. It doesn't matter if the game gets better after like a month or 2 or 3 or maybe 6 months or a year later. I mean, yeah, games can have a bunch of fucking updates and come back from it. You know, look at what do you call it? Cyberpunk. Look at No Man's Sky. When those games first came out, they were both dog shit. And for the most part, I would say if you could ask like any casual gamer that was there when those games first came out, if you were to ask them, hey, do you think this game is good? They're probably going to be like, no, because it was dog shit on day one. It doesn't matter that the games are going to get better. If the game is bad on day one in their head, the game is going to be bad forever. So why even like bother making a, I don't know, like a homunculus, a Frankenstein of a game and releasing it? I don't know. I don't know, but I mean, hey, I liked the video. It was funny. But yeah, got my fingers crossed for AAA coming back. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll catch you guys on the next one. All right, later.